I'm ready.
Thanks for having a conversation.
I know, that's why I'm listening. So, all right, we're going to talk a little bit about wonderful counseling. So counseling is, in my opinion, sort of the key to our business, okay, the way we do exchanging. I didn't bring copies, and I don't know why. I usually, to every meeting, bring 2 or 3 copies of a couple of different books. The one book is the Charles Chatham book, Secrets of a Lucrative Real Estate Career is its official title. It's the little blue book that a lot of you have seen, the counseling book. It's from a guy, Chuck Chatham. He's the one who invented this real estate counseling practice. So he's the one who did the research to find out the definitions of these things. And turns out if you go to the dictionary and look up the definition of a client, it says a client's a person under the protection of another. How many real estate brokers do you think that way? Right? That's the problem we have with the Realtor Association a lot of times, is we don't necessarily, I'm a realtor, I don't, I'm not bad-mouthing realtors, but generally people don't think of clients as somebody that they need to protect. They think of them as just part of our doing business. A customer is a person that you treat fairly and don't poison or kill or harm. They're not a person that you need to protect. So a lot of times I find that brokers are treating their clients as customers, okay, and they're not really looking at protecting the client. So when I interview a client, and Chuck Chatham said a client applicant, when we interview the client applicant isn't to see if they want me to be their broker, okay, I don't care. They wouldn't come in the door in the first place if they didn't want me to be their broker. Question is, do I want to spend my time and energy protecting them? Okay? Is it going to be worth my time and money to protect them? And are they somebody I want to protect? Okay? There are people on this planet that we do not want to protect, probably, that we think are morally bankrupt and not the kind of people that we, want to help get farther in the world. We've got to know enough about these people to know who they are before we can decide whether or not we want to protect them and work for them. Now, I'm not saying stop doing your regular business and starve to death. In the meantime, Chuck Chatham just cut off his business, and it took him 2 years to get his life going, okay, because nobody else did this, all right? That's just a little history of it. The client's a person under the protection of another. Your job, first thing, is to protect them. The state gives us a license to serve the public. Okay, what my dad always taught me, the state gives us a license to serve the public, and sometimes we get paid, okay? It's our responsibility to make sure we get paid. We have a duty, every one of us with a license, to serve the public, okay? I know John gets irritated sometimes with that public service part of it, but the reality is, that's what we are, okay? Now, we all work in different capacities and different things, so back to the books. The Chuck Chatham book is one of the 2 testaments I'd call towards exchanging. The other one, there are different versions of it, but I usually use the Bob Steele, 300 ways to buy, sell, or trade real estate. Okay, it was originally 100 ways, and only one of them is cash. But now he's got 300 formulas. So, mixing my metaphors here, but we got the old, the 2 testaments here. Really, what I call them is the light side and the dark side of the force, okay? Using the Star Wars analogy. So the Bob Steele book, and I love Bob, he's a great guy, and all the formulas people, and I'm one of the formula kind of guys. That's the dark side of the force, okay? We can do anything with formulas, for good, evil, whatever. We can do any kind of transaction. We have hundreds of tools in our tool belt that no other brokers don't have. We can do anything, okay? But should you, all right? The Chatham is the counseling, asking the people questions, learning, and really paying the time for our space on earth. Basically saying, listen, our duty is to do the right thing and to protect these clients and to use all these tools for good rather than for evil, okay? And that's part of what counseling is. Now, it's sort of a black and white crazy way to discuss it, but I just thought, over the years, these are the ways I've been able to explain it to clients. So, but, that's about formulas. What we're supposed to be talking about here for the next 15 or 20 minutes is about counseling. You need to know everything you can about your client before you go to the marketplace, okay? In general, even if you're doing a buy-sell transaction, you need to know that what you're doing helps the people, okay? How do you know that if you don't know them, okay? You gotta get to know these people. John?
Ask questions.
Yeah, ask questions, absolutely. I was really glad that John Weaver did that thing about listening, okay? I got the same problem John does, okay? I talk too much. I don't listen, okay? I don't listen well enough. You know, they always say you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Well, that's what counseling is about, okay? One of the most important questions I can ask a client when they come in and they tell me they got this problem or they got this property they want to sell is, why would you do that? They say, I got this house. You know, I want you to list my $300,000 house for sale here in Colorado Springs, and you know, it'll sell instantly. No, I said, you know, they want to give me the listing. I said, no. I said, well, why? Why the heck would you do that? You know, everybody wants to. Why don't you want this house? And I make them sit down and tell me until they're getting defensive about this. And you know, am I going to list their house or not? Kind of thing. And that's the way to start to get to know the people. Okay, and I don't want to get too just rambling on, but everybody's a little bit different. Okay, you need them to come in and teach you everything. Okay, and this is where the person who's missing here is Ted Blank. Okay, Ted teaches a wonderful class on this, and I'll use some of his little examples. Okay, when we got a group of guys that are our age or older. Okay, he always uses this example, and it'll stick in your mind. Okay, and that's why we're using it. We go to a doctor's appointment. You know, about 50 years old, a guy like me is supposed to do it. I, certainly haven't. But you go in that doctor's office and he tells you to take your clothes off. He tells you to lie down on the table. You know, and you know what's coming, right? You know, why do you do that? Why the hell would you ever go into a room with a grown man, take your clothes off and lie down on the table? Okay, it's not talking about anything inappropriate. But you wouldn't do that, okay? The answer is he's a professional. He's a doctor, okay? When you walk into the doctor's office with the doctor, you trust him, right? You know that he's a doctor. His job is to first do no harm, okay? His job is to fix you and make you right. We're asking people economically and psychologically to take their clothes off for us, okay? We need to know everything that's wrong with them inside and out. We can't find that without a full examination, okay? Why would anybody let you do a full examination if you weren't a professional? And the answer is only inappropriate, right? There's no reason that somebody's going to economically and psychologically get undressed for you if they don't think that you're a professional, okay? So the first thing to do, and of course Ted always gave me a hard time about clothing, and we need to do a little bit with the clothing. I don't need to dress like a banker like Ted, but bottom line is we do have to have a certain level of professionalism to get the people in the door and the rest. But what really it's about is do you care about them? Are you going to take a vested interest in protecting that client? And if it's a person that you don't like, don't do it, okay? If it's, and you don't have to, it's not personality-wise, you don't go out drinking with these people or taking them to lunch and doing all the rest. These are clients. I mean, you enjoy them like we all do clients, but you're supposed to be professional. And, okay, the person when they walk into your office is, Chuck Chatham would call them, they're client applicants, okay? They're applying to be your client, okay? You talk to them and ask them enough questions and sit down with them and say, hey, economic questions, how much, money do you have? What, all these personal kind of questions. And give them a little homework a lot of times. And let them know, you don't know if you're going to be if they're going to be a client yet for a little bit. I'm giving you probably too much of the nuts and bolts of how I do it day to day, and we need to back off a little bit and get to some of the philosophy of it. I guess I just use examples. Someone comes into your office and I'll pick on Sherry Dia because she's there eating her food. So she comes into my office and she says, hey, I got this vacant Family Dollar in Albuquerque. Any of you ever familiar with that? And how excited is a person about that kind of listing? Not picking on our special, our thing, but this is not the $300,000 house I'm talking about that's going to sell tomorrow, and we're going to get multiple offers, and I'm going to sell for $330,000. Okay, this is something that's tough. I'm not gonna judge Sherry Dia on the property and the problem she's coming with, which is what she wants to talk about the first day. I'm gonna figure out, is this a person I wanna protect, okay? Is she got the means and the sensibility to where we can get to closing, okay? Can she make it work, all right? It's got absolutely nothing to do with that piece of property, okay? It's got to do with her. So you sit down and talk to them and interview them and find out, what would you take? And ask them a lot of questions. Is there any reason if somebody gave you A, B, C, and D that you wouldn't do that transaction if we could get to where you want to go? So it's really, like I said, with the Weaver thing, it's all about listening, okay? You talk to people and you ask them questions and then you sit back and shut up. And I have a hard time doing that. I offer them all kinds of solutions and I shouldn't do that, okay? What they need to know though, and I guess I step back a little, when they first come in, most people walk into your office, they think you're a realtor, okay? They think you're just gonna put up a sign and sell their property. They don't know what we know. They don't know the awesome set of tools, like they'd say, okay? We got, an awesome set of tools that we can go do things with that nobody else has and most brokers don't have. So there is a little bit of saying, well, if you could own, Sherry Dia, if you could own that $10,000 or $10 million shopping center, would you want to do that? Okay. Well, how could I possibly do that? Well, knowing, I'll tell you right now, I can come up with a formula. You can do that. Is that something you want? Well, talk to me about how we go through that process. This is where you start with the education. Okay. I'll tell anybody of you the same thing. I can get any one of you $100 million worth of real estate by the end of the year, 100% financed, okay? Every one of you, I can get you $100 million of real estate, 100% financed. But should you do it, right? How many people you think I've done that to? None, because that wouldn't be right, all right? But we can do it. They need to know the possibilities first, okay? Here we go to a guy who's got you open up the arsenal, it's full of weaponry, okay? We can do anything. Okay, now let's sit down and talk about the possibilities and dare to dream. And so I tell the people a little bit when we first meet, dare to dream. Tell me what's your Santa Claus wish? You're not gonna get it, okay? You're praying to Santa Claus. It's not gonna happen, but let's know who you are and what you want. And that's how I sort of start the process. And then we dig into the nuts and bolts of their first problem, okay? And when we start to deal a little bit with their first problem, that's what they really want to talk about, okay? We're gonna give them homework, okay? Gonna say, listen, I want a financial statement. I want the Schedule E. I want your tax returns the last 3 years. I want Schedule E on all these properties. I want to look at everything you got. I want to know how much money you got in the bank. I want to know what your credit score is. I want to know everything I can about you. Here, I'm going to give you a bunch of homework. Are you comfortable with that? And this is where the rubber hits the road. If they're not comfortable with that, I tell them the same thing I tell people always. There's the door, okay? You don't have to come here. And again, another rude thing I'll do, and I don't do it, it depends on their sensibility, but I'll tell people straight out. And, it's arrogant, I shouldn't do it, but I'll tell them, listen, I'll say, hey, I don't need you, okay? I'll tell them straight out, I don't need you. You need me. I don't need you. Let's establish the dynamic. I just need an ass in your chair, okay? It doesn't matter if it's yours or somebody else's, and there's people I can put in that chair, I'm gonna make a living, okay? But you need me, and you need to understand that you need me. If you don't understand you need me, there's the door, okay? And so what I want with the counseling is let's flip the table a little bit as far as who's in control here, okay? When we talk about a well-controlled client in exchanging, what are we talking about? Okay, who's in control? The broker, not the client, okay? Now, we're not saying the broker's making decisions. That's absolutely wrong. We never make a decision for a client. We give them all the information in the world and say, with this information, what do you think is the best decision for you? And then follow it out with, why the heck would you do that, okay? And just look dumbfounded, okay? And let them go through it and explain to you how that works. And you say, oh, but by the way, we could do this way or that way, okay? So by telling them the different possibilities, we open the conversation by getting them to bring back homework, okay? If they don't show up for that next appointment, which is you're gonna be 3 days later, it's not gonna be tomorrow morning, okay? You're not coming in this afternoon and meeting me tomorrow morning again. okay? We're gonna set an appointment, even if my calendar is clear for a month, that appointment's gonna be a few days down, it's gonna, you know, Chatham was hilarious, it'd be 2:20 on Thursday afternoon, you know. Calendar's clear for the week, we'd have picked, you know, or 1:35 on, you know, Tuesday, something like that, you know, and I'll give you, you know, I'm gonna give you 2.5 hours of time or something at those times, and have them come back, because if they don't do their homework, they're fired, okay? And that's sort of the dynamic, and so I don't, this is coming from a broker perspective a little bit more, to get you guys to get the control of the clients so that that's a function. Now, when they see what you're doing for them, and when you're really protecting them and treating them like a client, just like the doctor takes care of you, you know, that doctor might be a real jerk, okay? But if you know he's got your best interests in mind, I mean, they're usually not if that's the case, but you know he's gonna protect you. He's the best surgeon, okay? Heart surgeon. You got the best heart surgeon in the world. Might be an arrogant asshole you don't want anything to do with, but he's the guy, okay? We need to let people know that this, you know, we're there for them, and we're the professionals going to get them, and that's the dynamic that we have, is that why we make so much money is because we work really hard, we're really educated, and we can change people's lives, okay? Every one of you has a power that those people don't really have. Every one of us has the power to change people's lives, okay? Through real estate, through things they've never thought of, okay? And I guess, you know, that again with the counseling to say, you know, we got 3 different properties. Another thing Ted Blank does is he'll show an example, 3 identical properties, 3 different owners. The first one is, it's Daddy Warbucks is the picture, but really it's Phil Anschutz, okay? The second one owns the first one, you know, Daddy Warbucks owns the first one. The banker owns the second one. Third one's owned by a recent widow. Same properties, free and clear, same incomes, everything identical the same. Mr. Counselor, how are you going to deal with those 3 clients? Okay, you see the difference here. We got the same exact property, and we got 3 different kinds of clients. Daddy Warbucks does not care. This is a fly on his back. He does not care. It's a down payment. He's going to go do something with it. He's easy. You love having Daddy Warbucks as a client because we're just going to buy, okay? The banker, whole different problem, right? That's messing up his books. He can't own that property, right? He's got to get rid of it because he's, you know, it's $300,000 property. He's got $3 million he can't lend because he owns that thing. He's going to do a different thing. What do bankers want? What do bankers buy every day? They buy payment. They buy paper. They buy interest payments and balloons all day long. That's all they want to buy. In fact, they take real money and go buy that shit, okay? So, what do they want? They want to finance that thing for you. They just want you to fill the boxes on their stupid form so they can go fool somebody into selling, you know, buying it from them. So that's a different situation. They're going to finance. Now, what's the little old lady want? Okay, well, the banker, you may get a loan from him. You know, you can take the REO off his plate. You may not be able to lend on that directly. You may have to buy it for cash at a discount because, you know, for the books thing. The little old lady definitely wants a little down payment and a monthly payment for the rest of her life because that husband's no longer there to give her the money, okay? There's no way that a regular buy and sell MLS agent is going to know the difference on how to market those 3 properties to serve his client. Every one of them is going to print the MLS and take cash and a new loan, and that's just how most of our business works. And that's okay if it works. But you see, we can do better than that. And for each one of them, you know, and estate building. Another client is yourself, okay? We're the worst at counseling ourselves. It's the same thing, all these tools you can take up. But again, your integrity is the most important thing here. That's the only thing you got at the end of the day, is your integrity. And so, a lot of people I notice in the group, you have principals and people have clients. There aren't a whole lot of us who do both. I think it's important to do both because you understand each aspect of what people are going through. But it's also very important that we don't conflict our interests with our clients. We all know that. We've been taught that over and over again. But when we're in the marketplace, if we're dealing with stuff with our clients, that's a different animal, and we need to make sure everybody knows that, and they have to come first. So everyone in this room if we got a heck of a deal, and it can be ours or it can be our clients, I hope that it's unanimous that it's gonna belong to the client. 90% or more of the communication is nonverbal. We very rarely respect that, okay? Did you see what I just did sitting down here? Yeah, totally different message from this, right? This is very different, okay? I'm not saying or doing anything different. I'm just standing here versus sitting back over here, okay? So Chuck Chatham says, you get them in the office, you sit there with your high back chair, okay? You sit there in front of your fancy desk. I can't do this because my desk's so covered with paper you can't find the wood. But what you're supposed to do is you sit them down there like they're sitting in their attorney's office, and they're sitting in their chair, which is littler than your chair, and you're asking them questions. Or I got a leather couch, I literally sit them down there and say, you wanna lie down? You know? Because, you know, that's what this is about. I'm gonna ask you questions, and I'm gonna be the doctor and the driver. You're the patient or the client, okay? And so if you think of them as a patient-doctor relationship, that's a similar kind of thing. And so that's what I want you all to think about when you do it. And when we're back to the specifics, so the counseling of the client, so I'm just talking about the philosophy of it a little bit. The nuts and bolts are, you get people with this fantasy that they're gonna come anywhere with a piece of land and get somebody to give them cash for it, okay? I'm not saying that, you know, people shouldn't buy land and the best investments in real estate aren't land and that most of the money in real estate hasn't been made on land. I'm not saying that at all, because that's the case, all right? However, it's hard to get somebody to just give you something they can take to the grocery store for something that you're gonna have to wait quite a while to convert back. And so we have a lot more tools. So like I said, you buy something with that land and sell that thing if you need to as a means of selling the land. But really, the first most important question is, and this is what I do with my clients, I say, you got this beautiful asset like Sherry Dia. Gosh, Sherry, if I give you your I don't remember what the price was, but $600,000 in cash money, what are you gonna do with it? Okay, and that's the most important question. What are you gonna do with the money? Are you just gonna pay taxes on it? And God bless you if you do, because our country needs the support. But it's probably not the best way of protecting a client to tell them to go ahead and pay the taxes. So that's what we find out. If she's a buyer with her property, we have a lot better chance of success. So there are all kinds of graphics we can talk about. You know, number of buyers with cash, there might be one. Buyers who will take cash and paper or in New Mexico real estate contract, you may have 3 or 5 of them, okay? People who would take your property if you took their property, there might be 20 or 30 of them, okay? What we're doing is multiplying the opportunities for our client to have a successful transaction. By doing that, we've increased our chances of success. And so, you know, I don't know how to say it enough other than you get your clients to say yes to everything that's in their best interest and explore it. Another good exercise to do after you come, so real quick, so we'll prep the people, get them to know, you found out everything about them financially, you know everything about this package, you know all the entitlements, everything, you know, the questions that all these intelligent guys in the room are gonna ask, you know all that stuff. You get ready and you go to a marketing session, okay? And you go and do the marketing session and you got a good moderator and they get you 15 numbers, okay? Ideally, the people tell you what properties, and ideally, and I'm guilty of, I pitch out too much, I don't write the minis like I should. I apologize to everybody. I make the calls later is what I do. But you should, in the right ideal circumstances, end up with 15 written mini offers, okay? Now you go back to that client and you sit back with them and you say, how are you going to accept this offer, okay? Not, are you going to accept this offer? The question is, how are you going to accept this offer, okay? And so if the offer is, you know, the bag of dog poo, well, I'm gonna accept it because he's gonna give me $1 million cash with it. You know, yeah, that's probably not gonna happen, but there's an example of how you could accept anything, okay? Like a listing, any house will sell at $1 million someday, okay? It might be 50 years, so that's not necessarily the answer
either. But basically by going through that, by the time you've gone through run round of them, if you haven't found what they really want out of those 15 offers, and God help you if you don't, but you're gonna know for the next session what they're gonna do and what you think has chances of success, or guess what? They're fired, okay? And so I fire almost as many clients as I hire, okay? And you notice the way I use the language there. I'm not applying for a job, okay? I've already got a job. I'm good at my job. They came into my shop applying to become a client, applying to be a person that I'm willing to protect. You gotta get that, turn the table and get that dynamic going with them, because then you have eventually a well-counseled client, because you know what they want, what they will do, and they know how you work.